Great. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Welcome to Adobe Live for XD today. I'm here today with Erin. She's a product designer all the way from New York, flying here for the weekend. And we've got some cool stuff lined up for you guys today. We'll get to Erin and all her awesome work in a second. But yeah, where are you guys tuning in from? Voodoo Valley, see you. I remember you from last week, too.
Nice.
Let us know where you're tuning in from. Anyways, so things we've got lined up for you guys today is we've got 30 minutes in. We're going to have a chat and win, so stick around. There's some cool prizes for people who participate. So, and then about like an hour and a half in, I think 30 minutes before live is over, we're going to be going into reviewing some work from the Creative Challenge. So if you guys haven't checked out the Creative Challenge already, I think it's behance.net/challenge/XD. So check out some of the challenges for today, from yesterday, and if you guys can put the links on Discord, I think that's where we're going to be pulling projects from. So on the XD channel, get involved and we'll take a look and kind of give you our feedback and get feedback from the community. And awesome, yeah, I see you guys. Austin, I've never been there. Italy, wow. Bombay, India.
That's awesome.
Kentucky.
All over.
Yeah.
Brazil.
All over the world. Stockholm, Sweden. Yeah, none of these places I've been to, but I would want to go to.
I love it. Cool.
So yeah, let's see. Let's dive in. Erin, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what we'll be working on over the next 2 days?
Absolutely. So we're working on designing for both mobile and tablet today. So designing for any screen. And this is me right there. Oh wait, opposite right there. Oh, my arm's gone. So this is me, Erin. I'm a product designer. Some of the places that actually I currently work at Squarespace, which if you're not familiar, it's a website building tool and really prides itself on beautiful sites. It's a great place to go for making like personal sites or portfolios, even like e-commerce shops. And in the past, I've also worked at Etsy, which is a global marketplace for handmade goods, and Twitter and all this other like New York Times, Retail Me Not, Amex. I don't really like to like say all the names, but I just did. So yeah, so
your history in a slide.
So basically, like all this to say is like I've worked on a lot of products that millions of people use, but I did not start out this way. Like I wanted to talk a little bit about how I got started, which is I was a huge Photoshop fanatic. Like
we're just talking about that.
Totally, like tutorials, filters. Anything I could do to make weird stuff in Photoshop, I was in. And then I followed that curiosity to like studying graphic design. And then after studying graphic design, became a web designer. And then after being a web designer, I started to think, well, like, okay, we're making these things for people that look really nice, but also like, why are we making them? And that sort of led me into product design at Twitter, which is sort of like where we're at now in terms of product design. And the thing that I really like about product design is there's so much empathy for people. Like it's really about understanding who it is you're making something for and what their problems are. Mm-hmm. Because it's fun to make stuff that is for yourself and whatnot, but when you're really solving a problem, that's when you're gonna, I don't know. That's when
dig in.
That's when the product's going to be successful.
For sure.
All right, moving right along. So, okay. Oh, actually, I want to say one other thing. So, like, really, what I hope that we can get out of this is, I'm going to talk about like honing your craft, and I'm losing it. I've never done this before, you guys. I'm gonna move forward.
No, we good.
I'm losing my train of thought.
Erin's gonna give us some background into like why she's designing certain things and understanding the context of a product before she kind of jumps right into the design.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about a little bit what I hope to achieve today. So design for any screen. Oh, this is tomorrow. Why is tomorrow up? All right.
It's okay, guys. This is what happens when you go live.
This is what happens.
We'll figure it out.
Where did it go? Oh, here it is.
There you
Let's
go.
just go like this. Today, we're going to talk about process. We're going to overview the project, and we're going to start exploring ideas. So, have I already talked about what the project is?
No, you have not.
Okay. Sneak preview about the project. We're going to be designing an app to help people take care of plants, because a lot of people want a lot of plants in their apartments and homes, but they're not quite sure how to take care of them. So I want to talk about like how you go about, how I go about actually my framework for going from an idea all the way to like a final solution. And what I like to suggest is using this sort of, it's called a double diamond framework. I don't know if anyone is familiar with it, but I've sort of like simplified it a bit. And this graphics helps explain. So you start off with this like observation moment, right? You're like going about your day and maybe you see something that doesn't make sense to you. You're like, oh, that's kind of hard. That could probably be improved, right? So you observe these difficulties and you start to say, I think that's a problem. Like, is this a problem for other people? Can I talk to other people and sort of get a read? And really sort of like do that moment of like exploring. And so exploring the problem means like interviews and sort of like saying it could be this, it could be that, it could be that. And then when you refine the problem, you start to get more narrow in like, actually, these are the most important problems. These are the problems that people that are so difficult, they're willing to pay for a solution for them, for example. Yeah. And so then you get to this moment where you're like, okay, this is what I'm solving for sure. And then you go back out to the exploratory mode and the refinement mode. So when you're exploring solutions to the problem that you've defined here, you're like, it could be this solution, that one, and then refining them. Actually, I had a whole thing that I forgot about where I was doing this.
It's okay. We're busy. So Kat wants to know, what kind of plants do you have?
Oh my gosh.
Are you a plant mom yourself?
So I live on a first floor apartment, and this is part of the observation that I had, which is like, I don't have a ton of light on a first floor apartment in Brooklyn, and so I needed to find things that worked well in low light. So I have like snake plants, I have ZZ plants. I do have a succulent that's like hanging on. Like those need a lot of light, but it's doing its thing. It's okay.
It's surviving.
Yeah. Also, my dream is to have a fiddly fig.
Oh my God, that's like everyone's dream.
Yeah,
they're
like,
hard to take care of.
That's when you'll know you've made it. Like they need a ton of light. Like you need to have huge windows, floor to ceiling, all this. Okay. So I also wanted to mention this really important part too, where like when you're talking about how might we solve this problem that we've defined, like you'll come up with a lot of ideas, and then you might be testing them with people and find out they don't actually really care. They're like, like that's fine, I might use it, or you'll hear them say something like, yeah, and that kind of means like, okay, this solution, maybe this isn't really a problem they have. So sometimes you're going back and saying like, actually I need to refine the problem I'm solving. So that's just a note about this. And then finally, when you're refining the solutions, that's like all about usability testing and like putting the final like visual touches on it, etc.
This is the whole process.
Yeah,
It's not like a,
totally.
You know, and I think Erin, she's done some work beforehand, before the stream, to kind of like set up this, this research and some background for us, so that today we're ready to kind of dive in. But she'll share some of that with us today too.
Exactly. Let me just make sure I don't have anything else. Okay, that's it for the intro.
See, Lindsay has just murdered a pansy plant. I'm sorry.
Right? Like it's you, and there's this sense of like I'm not a good plant parent, and then I think people get intimidated. Like I remember one time I had like one plant and I went on a 2-week vacation and I asked my friend to water it for me while I was gone, and she was like, I'm not gonna water it. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I kill plants, I'm not gonna water it. So it's like things like that. I think that, well, we'll get into it, but it's hard.
For sure. No, my problem is always like overwatering or underwatering. Like maybe your app will help us.
Oh no,
with this.
exactly. Like a lot of people overwater too, especially with like succulents and things like that. It's easy to you'll drown them. So, all right, I want to talk about. Hopefully, these notes will be a little more helpful. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I explored this problem initially. And actually, I also wanted to mention, like, one thing you can do to help yourself go through a process like this is actually pre-set up your XD file and say, like, I'm going to remind myself I want to explore the problem, refine it, explore solutions, refine solutions. It's almost like a template ready for you to fill out, and sort of like it's a mood board too, because you're pulling things into it.
I really love that.
And I think it also helps get rid of the fear of the blank page.
Yep.
So
I like that also. It kind of looks like Post-its, so I feel like I'm doing it like in analog
and
form
you can go
too.
back and reference things while you're designing and be like, oh, what was that user quote? Like, is this something that's helpful for my design? And you can also remind yourself of like what the things are you need to do. In fact, I could probably even put together like a little template and send it out to y'all. Anyway, so like in the exploratory phase, what you're really trying to do is observe people and empathize with what they're going through. So of course, like talking to people is really helpful. You can start with your friends and family, but if you're lucky enough to have like a company budget or the ability to bring people in, it's always really great to talk to strangers because, I don't know, there's no bias there. Like talk to people from all over, as many as you can. And then another really lightweight way to do this if you don't have a budget, I love going to forums, to Twitter, to Reddit, like any sort of Quora, like articles where you just search for the sort of general topic you're trying to get at. And see what people are just naturally saying about it. Like what are their
really
natural problems? And then anyone here can do that. And then another new thing that I'm really interested in showing you is like look at search trends. So I'll show you that in a minute. And then the final thing is like, of course, you want to look at who else is solving this problem because like 9 times out of 10, everyone has the same idea. Like a lot of people probably have worked on plant apps. So let's look at what they've done and see if there's room for improvement. So I started with an observation, right? Like plants are great, you're seeing them everywhere right now. Like I'm seeing them on Instagram, I'm seeing them on Pinterest, like apartment therapy is giving you whole inspiration articles about how to have like this jungle type mecca in your apartment. There's a company called The Sill in New York City that just does a fabulous job with making plants feel really approachable. So people are into plants, right? Plants are
like a plant mom. I think Voodoo Val said she's a plant mom.
Exactly.
And that sounds exactly. That's what we identify as.
So like this is great. People like plants. This is something people are interested in. But there's a challenge, right? And so I noticed my first challenge that I noticed is like I have this to-do app, and I was like, okay, well I at least have to remind myself to water these plants, right? Because I'm gonna forget. And I would open it up every, I don't know, like month or so and realize there were like 10 different water the plants notifications that I just never completed. And I feel like, you know, like they're not super visual, you're not really sure which plants. It didn't feel helpful to me. And so this was my challenge, but what you really wanna do is ask yourself and try to dig into is this other people's challenge as well? Like are other people experiencing this thing? And so there's this really cool site called answerthepeople.com where you can type in like any sort of search parameter you want. And I specifically like, I could have typed plants, but I want to be specific. I want to say like, I'm gearing this toward people who have apartments and want plants because I think apartments pose a little bit more of a specific problem than homes.
For sure, we don't have yards, we don't
exactly
houses.
Like indoor, you know, you could be first floor, you could have a little bit of light or a ton, all that stuff. So here's what I found. I'm really excited, okay, because I like validated that this is like an interest and a problem. So some of the things I found, like top level, people are like, what are good apartment plants? And why are my apartment plants dying? Like, why am I bad at this? And we don't want that. So some things that I pulled out that I thought were interesting. People are looking for ideas. They want an apartment covered in plants. I saw a lot of like cities too, like New York, London, Paris, like things like that. So we're talking about city dwellers, apartments, and then they're looking for inspiration too. Like, what are some photos of plants in apartments? I want to like be able to set mine up
apartment.
nicely. Totally. And so let's see, that people are like, what are good ones for beginners? Like low light basement. Again, another city, Brooklyn. So bright light, low light. So all these people are
trends.
Yeah,
pop out.
exactly. Like you're noticing trends that is saying, what is the sort of like best suited plant for my lifestyle or environment? And then the other interesting things I saw too was like people asking about safety. So safety for dogs and cats. Some plants, like if a cat eats the leaf, they're dead, or they're very sick. So that's another thing. Okay, so then I got to existing solutions. So like, what is the room for improvement on apps that already cover this area? And I found a really great article that was like, here are the top 5 plant watering apps, or like plant apps, right? And so I went to, a great thing to do is go to the App Store and look through the reviews and find reviews that mention things that could be improved.
Right, I wish I had this or something.
Totally. And so, and this is not to say that you should like literally make the exact thing, the exact feature someone's asking for, but if you start to notice trends in what they're asking for, you ask yourself, like, why do they need that? And it gives you a launching point for like the ideas and like useful ideas and things that, needs that are being underserved.
And people are explicitly asking for these things, which is interesting to see. And if you see that pattern.
Exactly. So some of the things that I thought were interesting that people were asking for were like a plant parent community and more information about how to take care of each plant. So I noticed that people would kind of have to go to multiple places to get the, like they're like, here's my watering app, but here's a place that I go to like figure out how much I should water it. So they kind of wanted like one place to do it.
Yeah.
Also like a photo album to document progress. I thought that was really interesting, this sort of idea that people want to document their milestones or like the growth. And it also made me think of those like, have you seen those things where people take their face and they take a picture of it like every day for like a year, and then it's like
especially for like skincare.
Yeah, or like growing a beard or something. So I was like, oh, that'd be really cool if you could kind of like see the growth of your plants. Let's see, how are we doing on time?
We're good. People are loving seeing some of the process. I think it's important, especially as we're going into product design.
And I think I'm trying to specifically show like process, like the things that anyone could do.
Yeah.
You just need your own time to do this research. And I also want to say this is the part of the process that I love the most, because I feel like I'm kind of like a detective.
For sure.
It's like, oh, like what are people's real problems? And you want to make sure you're solving the things that people actually need, because it's not like if you build it, they will come.
No.
Like 9 times out of 10.
That is not how it happens.
If you build it, they'll be like crickets, you know, unless you're really able to figure out the thing that they need. Okay, and then I saw a lot of like people saying it's just a glorified reminder app. Like I want more. I want to know the care. I want progress pics. Again, people are saying progress pictures. I wish that I could log the waterings. And I saw another person I'll show later who was like, I want a log of like when I fertilize the plant or when I do all these things, because to me it's like more than just watering. It's like, how have I taken care of this? Almost like, I don't know, is it like a baby journal almost? Like when you're documenting like their first haircut or whatever. So
we're plant parents here.
Exactly.
Lindsay's question is, should I murder this insect, spider, or not?
Oh, true.
Some pest
yeah, like
control.
is it good for the plant, or is it like that's so true. Okay. I think this is pretty good, but like generally we saw, let's see, like there's a lot that you can dig into, right?
Yeah. And you start to see repeating things and pull them out.
Exactly. And so the last thing I did, which I won't show here, but I talked to a couple people that are interested in having a lot of plants in their homes, and that they really reiterated a lot of what I heard. Like, not sure how to do it, want more than just a reminder app, stuff like that. So once you've sort of, sorry about that. Once you've explored the problem, I like to take a moment to sort of synthesize this exploration, so it's easy for me to come back to and not have to like dig through all this like mind map of findings. So for example, like the first thing we want to do is define who our users are that we're targeting. And you really want to be specific with this. So like you might just say, oh, it's people who want plants. If you got more specific, you would say, people who want plants but don't know how to take care of them. And then more specific than that is people who live in apartments and want lots of plants but don't know how to take care of them.
Yep.
So that's our target audience for now. And the next thing you want to ask yourself is, what are our users really trying to accomplish, and why? So this is less a list of features and more sort of like an emotional sentiment. Like, our users want to find plants that are suitable for their environment and lifestyle. So like lifestyle might mean like they don't have time to water very much, etc. In addition to the light needs. They want to create a beautiful home. Like, why do they want to do that? They want to create a beautiful home, like the ones they see in Pinterest and Instagram. And they also want to build a sense of accomplishment by keeping plants alive and nurturing their growth, especially people who kind of like feel that they weren't good at this in the past. So if you start, it's almost like, well, I'll get to it in a minute, but that's sort of what they're trying to accomplish. And then I also wanted to remind myself what's really important. What I'm going for in this design is like something that's clear and digestible, because what I saw when I looked at the other apps were like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's hard to parse. I also want to make sure there's good guidance. We might introduce care information, logs, and reminders. We can explore capturing events and milestones and make sure that it feels sort of like personal to the person who's using it.
So these are kind of things you are going to refer back to during your whole design process.
Ideally, yes. Or at least when you're testing.
Ideally, yes.
Ideally. They can get lost sometimes, but it's great to be able to go back once you've made a lot of stuff and be like, did I catch all these? Like, is there anything I'm missing? Am I really doing these things?
Yeah.
And we talked about how the existing solutions fall short. So now let's get into exploring solutions. So I want to talk about exploration because there's kind of, for me, there's like 3 levels of fidelity. There's like the lowest level of fidelity, which is...
and what do you mean by fidelity?
Oh yeah, so fidelity meaning like how designed is it? Like how...
polished and...
How polished is it? How real does it look?
Yeah.
So like when I say lowest fidelity, I'm like, this is the craziest, sorry, not crazy, this is just the messiest version of the ideas.
Yep.
So I'm like getting all of this stuff out. There's usually way more than you need. And there's a moment where you have to be like, okay, what's the minimum version of this that will work? So these are just some, I'm not gonna dig into them, but these are some examples of like how messy a low fidelity sort of brain dump can look. You're just kind of like getting all of your ideas out there. It's very mind mappy a little bit.
This is before you even go into like
exactly
using a digital tool.
Oh
this
my
is
goodness.
Scans from Erin's notebook.
Yes, keep a notebook. Also loose leaf paper is fine. So again, like some messy stuff. I really got interested in, where is it? Oh, I got really, what's the word? I don't know. I got
Fixated?
I got really hung up for a moment on like what the nav should be, because I wanted it to be super simple and I wanted it to kind of tell a story. And so we'll talk about the nav that I landed on, but ultimately I felt like it needed like a care tab, a find tab, and a me tab. So then the other thing that I like to try to do is tell a little bit of a story or like a journey with the thing that I'm doing. So for example, like how would you pitch this to somebody, or what's the story you would tell about like why they would even use it? So it's for first timers. They're gonna start off easy with easy plants that like are hard to kill, and then they're gonna gain confidence because they're not going to die, hopefully.
Yes.
And they'll get awards perhaps, and they'll see the growth, and then maybe they'll see like movies and all this stuff. So like using this product, which by the way, I was like playing around with the idea of calling it Buds, but I need help on the name because I don't know what it
the
should
channel
be.
is great for naming.
I definitely need help with the name. But you know, using this product, someone can go from knowing nothing to having their first
So kind of their like relationship with the app and journey with the app.
Totally. And it also helps for me to think of other ways that other products have successfully done this. So in my mind, it's sort of like a couch to 5K for plants.
Yes.
So
Couch to 5K, for those of you guys who don't know, is like an app where you can literally start off as a couch potato, don't do any exercise, and then they'll kind of gradually train you up to a 5K run. I've used that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you go, totally. So some of the things that I thought would be helpful is like gamify it, maybe make it like, maybe give people badges, things to earn. Make sure you give them a sense of progress. Give them easy tip cards to look at so they're not digging through a bunch of information. It's not like a Wikipedia article. And maybe I also really liked this idea of mimicking, Google Photo has this great assistant that will show you like then and now. And you don't even have to ask for it, but it'll be like your dog 3 years ago and now your dog. So maybe you could do that same thing for plants.
Voodoo Val says she wants to track her plants' birthdays.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, like when you added it.
Yeah, I was like, when would that date be? Like when it was seeded or when you brought it home? When you brought it home.
Oh my gosh, amazing. And so then this is what I would call middle fidelity. Like this is something that I could feasibly, I could show somebody this and sort of get I could show a user this and get their feedback. Maybe not the tablet version, but I could show them this like mobile version and say, what do you think about like the ability to track events for your plants and sort of gauge their reactions? And I would come up with like a list of really great questions for this, but overall get their sentiment of, what do you think of this? Is it useful? And if it's not, then we go back to the drawing board. So the next thing I wanted to do is make sure there was a place to find the information for plants. So whether or not you have a specific plant you're searching for, you know, like I'm thinking about getting aloe. Will this be good for me? Or I just want to add aloe to my plant list. Or you want inspiration. Like
right, you just don't know plants, so maybe that's like your jumping off point.
Totally, you don't know. And so we could curate, sort of like how Spotify curates lists for you to discover things. And then I wanted the plant info card to be really quick, easy to scan, and maybe give you like the top level, most important things first, and some extra details below. And then finally, just have a place to like house your babies, your plants, have a profile where you can see all of them and take extra actions on them if you need to.
I love this stage because I think it really forces you to focus on really high level important things, like, and making sure that's in place before you go into even a higher fidelity, you know, wireframe, which you'll show us in a second. But just kind of makes you stop and be like, okay, what is my priority in communicating? Like, what ideas are important for every view?
Totally, yeah, exactly. And this is like, again, you can show it to people and gauge like whether or not this is like our best guess, right? Yeah. And the first guess is not always the right one. So at this level, you haven't invested all this time in like making it look great, and the more real it looks, the more you become married to the idea, and the harder it is to back out of it if somebody's like,
And the longer it takes, like a process point of view, you want to do more check-ins earlier on, in my opinion, than like, I don't know, 10 hours later, you've created this beautiful thing, and guess what? It doesn't solve the problem.
Exactly. So what do we have like almost 2 minutes until the chat and win.
Yes.
So I might say like, is there anything else we can talk about before we dig in? Oh, well, I guess I can show the high fidelities real quick. So preview, and then we'll dig into this and really get into it when we get back. But this is what I would call high fidelity. Even though it's still black and white, like this to me is very high fidelity. It's like basically designed. It just doesn't have sort of like a graphic design, an emotional visual design applied to it. So this is where I landed, the care tab, which is where you would see that sense of progress and be able to log the things.
That's from your main navigation. That would be one of the main tabs.
Totally, main tabs, first main tab, you'd see like waterings, maybe like things that you've noted to yourself, things like that. The ability to mark when things have been watered if you want that reminder. Then the search tab, which we were talking about, like the ability to get into something quickly if you know what you're searching for, or maybe even you want to identify it from a photo because you don't know the name of it. So that's sort of like the higher intent, and then the lower intent search is like, I'm just browsing. I want to see what are people into right now, or what's easy for beginners. What collections do you have? And then
you've set this up using XD and
some
of the.
Yeah, we'll get into that too. Cool. So this is all actual XD, and it's much easier to get to these if you've done all the pre-work beforehand. Otherwise, you're looking at this blank page and you're like, what do I make? So then the search, again, like you want to give people jumping off points. You don't want to leave them sort of them hanging on a blank white page. So you give them maybe either examples of their recent searches, or you could pull in popular searches here. And then when they're typing, give them a preview. Some suggestions of what they're looking for. And then again, I landed on this like hopefully really simple plant care card page.
Yeah.
It's not fully done yet, but just the idea that maybe the top 3 things they might need are, we're getting close to the chat and win.
Yes, we are.
Oh my gosh.
We are. Stay tuned, guys.
Stay tuned. All right, we only have 3, so quick info, and then of course you want to be able to add plants to your inventory, and then on the Me tab,
your profile.
You're on your profile, you'd be able to see which ones you have, and maybe look at stats, and maybe in the future it could be like a community where other people could see
share your fellow plant parents.
Exactly.
Well, we're nearing Chat and Win, and we'll be back soon in a couple seconds, or in a minute. So awesome. Guys, for Chat and Win, we have some prizes for you. So let us know what you think should be the name of this app. Maybe that's what you guys can tell us in the chat. That'd be fun.
Yes, I definitely need help with the name. Gosh, what else?
Yeah, go crazy with the name. Let's see, what would we call it? You had like Bud as one of the examples.
Like, play on the word. Or like, you're going from like a little bud to a full plant.
Plant moms. No, I don't know. Green thumb, plantgenic. Let's see, cactus is one of them. I don't know if that was just the name of a plant.
Yeah, cactus is it's pretty specific. Although like the riches are in the niches, right? So maybe it is just about cacti. What do we got? Happy thumbs is cute. Yeah. I like that.
Trying to think what else. Green thumbs. Sticker time.
Sticker time.
Oh yes, and we have a winner.
Oh, we're so focused.
Jagadish, we have a prize for you. I think you get a sticker pack for free from Sticker Mule, and Gus from the Adobe Live team will be following up with you through your Behance account for more information. And anyone else who's in the chat, we have a special offer from Adobe that you guys can take advantage of to get a special discount. So go through Sticker Mule at that URL that you guys see here. Ooh. And you guys can snag your own stickers at a discounted rate. I need some stickers.
I love it. Like stickers of your dog, your cat, your plants.
Yeah, it's your plants. Your plant app will need a sticker.
Totally.
Planned Parenthood.
Whoa.
That's awesome. I'm just looking at it.
That's pretty good. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Awesome. So I guess
so we're back on this.
We'll dive right in.
I was looking. I saw Sticker Mule. Okay.
Yeah, we have like a little bit of a lag. Yes.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Now it's game time.
Plant Patch, Urban Greens. I'm reading some of these more. Plant Moms, Plant Space. It's a MySpace for plants. But that'd be funny if each plant had its
own page,
own profile.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let me ask you this, since you all are my users right now. Should we just jump into turning these into tablet wireframes? Is one way we could go. The other way we could go is I could show you some of the explorations I did before I got to these in XD. So all this to say is that your first idea is never the best, and you should always keep pushing until you feel like you've gotten to a good point. So I could I
think we should jump into your tableting, since we want to cover how Erin's using some resizing tools to make responsive resize easy.
Totally.
So so she had created these because it's very hard to create from scratch on this Adobe Live.
Yes, exactly. There's no way. It would just take me too long, everybody. All right, so what I want to do is, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start, what I like to do is start with what I perceive as the easiest one first. So you kind of, again, you build momentum. So I think that maybe I'm going to go ahead and guess that this Find tab might be a really easy one to start with. And so I just have this tablet size here to remind myself what size I'm going for with the tablet. This is pretty close. I think this is an iPad mini size or something like that. Mm-hmm. So the thing that I love about XD that we'll see is the repeat grid is amazing, and then the responsive resize is incredible too. So let's show you, for example, responsive resize is over here. Why am I using my chart? Responsive resize is over here.
It's because we're on our laptop.
I was using my trackpad the whole time. This mouse is so much better. It's over here. And if you don't have it turned on and you go like this, so this is how life was, right? Before responsive reset, you'd go like this, and then you'd duplicate them, and you'd take this,
press shift,
and you would
try to move
bring
things
it out.
around.
And it would take so long. But with resize, what you can do is you click this toggle. And what you want to do is just kind of get a lay of the land. What happens first? It's usually, there are moments when it works perfectly. Yeah. And there are other moments when you have to give it a little bit of guidance. So what I like to do is just resize it and see what happens first. Okay, so this is a really good example of what do we have happening down here is like these icons are going a little crazy. And what I want to say is when that happens is like 9 times out of 10 it's messy layers or like, and the thing that you can do to fix it is by grouping things together better. So let's go into the layers and see like what I have here. I will say that like when I'm designing early like this, the layers aren't super well organized.
Oh,
so
dude, mine are never organized. So
Yeah.
even that you have organization at this level is much to be applauded.
Exactly. So like actually let's go in here and delete some of the things I'm not using. And we'll see. So these were our problem ones, right? So what happened was I was doing like a different version of this in the past. So I'm going to take all of these titles out of these groups because we don't need them anymore.
Yep.
I'm going to delete those. I'm going to delete this rectangle because it doesn't do anything. And then what I want to do is actually group, so like each of these should be in its own group so that they stay together. So I'm gonna go over to care, and then I'm gonna hit Command G, which is a shortcut to group them. You could name the layer as well if you're being really diligent, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna keep it like this. Find, and then I'm gonna hit the plant icon, group those, me, and then group profile. Okay, so now we've got groups, right?
Awesome. And they'll kind of stay together.
They'll stay together now. So let's see, like one step at a time. Let's see if this helped. Okay, great.
Yeah.
We're getting closer, right? What I actually want though, Dohi, I think I want these to be centered rather than like spraying out across the whole thing.
Yeah.
So again, all you have to do is think in like the group mindset. If I want them to stay together, I just have to group them. So I'll take those 3 and I'll group them. And now once we expand this, no, I know what I did wrong. You gotta group them, and then sometimes you do have to go into manual. Okay, so this is automatically assuming what you want. But in our case, we actually don't, so these side ones mean like it's gonna stick to the left edge and it's gonna stick to the right edge. I don't want them to stick, and I do want it to be a fixed width. So unsticking and then adding the fixed width, I think 3rd time's the charm. This should do it.
Right, it's always about experimentation, right?
Exactly, and try to change like one thing at a time. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted to have happen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'll be able to copy this over into all the future ones so I won't have to do it like every single time.
Yeah.
The only other thing, let's see, what else do we have going on here? So these are, this should be, I think at one point this was, what is it, a repeat grid.
But this.
And for some reason it's not anymore. I wonder if I can like retroactively go back and turn it into what happens.
Well, you can.
then.
Oh yeah. Because then those. There you go.
Great. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a repeat. Let's see if that helps. I'm gonna do that for this one too. Repeat grid, and then this one. I'm gonna say.
Right, because right now they're individual kind of elements right now.
Totally. Let's see if that.
Repeat grid is our favorite.
Oh my
We
gosh!
were just talking
it's
before
magic.
the stream.
It's totally magic. Okay, so let's pull this out. Okay. Great.
Oh yeah.
We're like getting a lot closer. All right. So what size? Did
That's
I
just
say?
so much quicker than our usual of like paste, copy, paste, copy, paste.
Seriously, okay. So I wanted it to be 112 wide, and then what was this? 834 high.
Yeah, and in case you guys are just joining us, Erin is working on right now making responsive wireframes for a plant care app.
Yep.
That will help us kill less plants in our apartment and have a thriving apartment with happy plants. So she's given us some background on her research, and we're really just starting to dive into. She had mocked up the wireframes for mobile, and now she's showing us the process of how she would extend that to tablet view.
Totally, exactly. Thank you for that, Dohi. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to note is like there's a version of me that could get stuck here and be like, oh, I got to make these bigger and like really get this screen right. But I will just note to myself that I want to come back to this screen and make these a little bit bigger so that you're not seeing so many on the tablet view, and maybe try to see if like we can raise this up a little bit. We'll see. Yeah. But this is a good like starting point.
Right,
for
and you
this
might
screen.
flesh that out in the visual design too, right? This is really for us to kind of like.
Totally.
You're like, all right, this is what we're building. This is what the foundation is going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, sizes and things might change as you layer in high fidelity the highest fidelity visuals.
Exactly.
Ooh, Plant MD, that's a great one.
Oh, I like that. All right, so we did the find screen for now. Let's see, what do we think? And I also want to say, like, let's focus on the key screens. We might not do all of them, but the key ones that I want to think about are like the find tab, the care tab, and probably
like your main tabs again.
The plant info card. So, all right, let's try to tackle the care tab at this point, which should be.
This is kind of like a news feedy kind of thing.
Yeah, a little bit. It's
care.
like the log where it's letting you know that you if you have plants that need attention, it lets you know, and then you can click in and sort of, it'll let you know what to do. And then it'll also tell you when, like, what are those moments when you did things, so that, like, I'm not sitting there thinking, like, when was the last time I watered that plant? Oh, it was August 16th. Or maybe it pulls up photos for you, like the before and after sort of things. If you've been logging photos, it could kind of, like, give you that moment. So I'm gonna hide this for now. This ad would kind of be like a moment where you could say add a photo or add like a quote or something like that. Like I repotted my plant.
Yeah, just leaving yourself notes in your plant journal.
Exactly. So, okay. The first thing I want to do is make a copy of this. I keep forgetting. I know once I do it enough, I'll remember. So it was 112. I want to make a copy of this and see what happens when we turn it to 112. Oops. Oh, and I have to turn on responsive resize. Okay, that's not bad. All right, what do we got here? So I'm just gonna go like that.
Yep, just tweaking things.
Exactly. You don't always have to like make.
This is like, it just gets you far.
It gets you
know?
started, exactly. And I wanted to show like some. What is it called? Tips on like if you do run into trouble, but this is a great way to get started. So, all right, so let's see. I also want this to kind of be, there's also some like old layers in here, I will admit, that are hidden. Oh yeah, this was here. I was hiding this other version.
Yeah.
So we'll get rid of this.
And when you're moving things around, you know, we're making some judgment calls, kind of like what's going through your mind as you're responsibly resizing? What are some things you're keeping in mind?
Well, for example, like when I mentioned before, when I wanted to come back to this screen, like this is kind of overwhelming right now. This is a lot to see at once. And if you're designing this for tablet, like you have sort of the breathing room to show more. So like once I sort of have this foundation in, hopefully I'll be able to say like, oh, actually like, let's actually like do it now. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna hide this for a moment because I want to say these should be bigger.
Right, you're looking at it and you're like, that's way too many thumbnails.
There's too many thumbnails.
Yeah.
So what happens if, since this is a repeat grid, this is great. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of breathing room here for a minute and say like, maybe I want these. Wait, why didn't that work? Hold on.
Is there like a mask on it?
I feel like. All right, doesn't matter. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make
a new repeat grid.
A new repeat grid, because it's so easy, it doesn't matter. So great like keyboard shortcut is hitting I, and you automatically bring up the eyedropper to make it black.
Amazing.
What are these? These are, I don't know. Well, let's give it a border radius of 6.
A little corner radius.
Remove the border. We'll hide these for a minute.
Green Cross is another app name.
Ooh,
by Tiva.
Interesting.
It's like the Red Cross, I guess.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really good ideas
People
here.
are really good copywriters on the channel.
All right, so I'm gonna turn this into a repeat grid.
Awesome.
Hey, this is like so much more appropriate for a screen this size. And you can also just like really easily determine how much space you want in between, etc. So let's see. I hid that other one so I wouldn't be distracted by it. Okay, I'm gonna drag this down. I will say labeling your layers makes it really helpful when you're moving things, because there's like a bucket there and you're like, oh yeah, like I need to move that thing. You know, it's easy to grab all at once.
Yeah, I run into trouble too when I have like layers that are hidden or like I can't see, but it's actually in my layers panel, and then who knows, they pop up all over the place.
Totally.
Hey, we have someone here watching live from Kenya for the first time.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
We've got people from all over the world.
So here's a conundrum, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how I would solve this right. So like in the mobile, it's super easy to say like I have one cool photo and it kind of like this
Fits on the screen.
it fits on the screen, but like I wouldn't want to make a photo like this big on tab. Like that's too much. So what I will say is maybe think about the relative hierarchy. So on the mobile version, you see about 2, maybe like 2.5 of the small ones to the ratio of the large one. So I might try to do something similar here and see what happens. Like we might not even need like 2.5. I think almost 2 is probably good enough. So bring this down. Oops, grab these guys. Bring this down. What happens when I go like this? Oh my gosh, amazing,
Nice.
amazing. That's really close. So then I'll take these.
Just nudge it a little or center.
What I like to do, there's a keyboard shortcut for centering, which is on a Mac, Control-Command-C. And so you don't even like if you learn the alignment keyboard shortcuts, you're gonna save like hours of your life. So yeah, I'll let you know when I'm using those shortcuts because they're really, really helpful.
I feel like for web design, we're constantly
Oh my
aligning
gosh,
things.
all the time. And then what happened here? So this was a break, actually. I need to just extend this a little bit. Bring this down. Oops. There we go. And then I need to copy this. There we go, label. See, look at that. I even called it a label. Okay, so
Thank you, past self. Julia asked if this is going to be a real product.
oh my goodness. I don't know, TBD. If you all can like get people hyped, and maybe we can get funding for this. But as of now, it's just an example of how I would go about like designing a brand new product from scratch.
Yeah, but it seems like many of us on this channel are fellow plant parents and need some help.
Yeah, totally. It could be real with your help. I think that's what you were saying too about Corn Dog It.
Yes.
So Dohi was on like 2 weeks,
2 weeks
ago.
yes.
And you have to look at, hers is amazing too. So she designed a website for finding corn dogs in San Francisco, and it's incredible. She did it on web and mobile.
Yeah, we're having some fun here doing what we want to do, because I think often, when we're designing for work, it's for work.
Yeah, exactly. Like what do I want to see exist in the world?
Yep.
But also like make sure that other people are interested in it too. In this case, I just wanted to like talk about that. All right, I think that's good for now. Again, we can like mess around with it tomorrow if we want. But now on tablet, you kind of like have this bigger version of the thing. So that's a good.
Looks good.
And I
Feels
feel like
good.
I'm making progress. Like I'm not getting like stuck on, because it's really easy, I think, especially for me to get stuck on one thing and be like,
spacing.
I gotta make it perfect. But let's keep going. So we have a rough version of the Care for tablet. I'm actually gonna copy this over because we did all that work to make it work right.
All right, so we're doing all of this in Adobe XD.
Yep. All of this in Adobe XD. So let's see.
It's great for both like not low, you're saying high fidelity.
Mid-high, whatever you want.
Like
It's subjective.
wireframes to really more in-depth visual design as well. So it can really take us from the beginning stage. I mean, for Erin, she started even with the like really, really low fidelity, like just using it kind of like a post-it board note or post-it note board.
Yeah, post-it note board, yeah. And it just is like kind of a reminder for yourself to be like, you should do these things. Or, I don't know, you can do them, you cannot, it's up to you.
Yeah, it's also nice just having everything on one artboard too. Like,
Totally.
you can move it around. You can keep this section for your research, this section for your wires, and then another section for your high fidelity visuals, kind of depending on how you best work.
And you know what I will say is like, when we get back to this later, I want to maybe explore like what is a world in which maybe like this area here where your plants need attention, Because on mobile, what happens is when you click that, you get this sort of like tray of things that need attention.
Yes.
Maybe since we have more room on tablet, I'm thinking maybe that can kind of like live on the side.
Yeah, like
perhaps.
already, yeah.
And if you don't have anything to do, it could be sort of this like ta-da moment of like inbox zero moment where you're good. We'll see. That could be.
I like that idea.
That could be an exploration.
So some elements might change form on different breakpoints.
Exactly. Like when you have more space, you want to think like, how can I use this most effectively? So what do we the next one we want to do? We did care. We did find.
Maybe the like plant. Yeah, the plant card.
Detail, the plant card. Okay, yeah, this is a good one because I have a couple of ideas for this, but I'm not sure how it's gonna play out.
Right, so on mobile you got this like list of the main 3 things about the plant.
Totally. And actually I'm gonna update this to say, I don't know if this is true about jade plants. I'm sorry, jade plants, if it's not. But I'm gonna say like, I think the pet caution should be one of the important things for this audience. So what would I say for that? Maybe like
toxic too.
I was thinking about toxic, and one person said like you're really shaming the plant when you
no!
say like toxic. I don't know. You're like it's like
okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So maybe just like
keep cats away. I don't know.
Harmful to pets or something like that.
Yeah. So that's like high level.
Yeah. Some note about like maybe why or what types of animals. And this is a good thing too. Like I also tend to get hung up on copy
me too.
a lot. I'm like it has to be real, and yes, it should not be lorem ipsum.
Yep.
Because you really want to know like how much space do you realistically need for this stuff, but also I do think it's okay in a moment like this to sort of just say like, okay, we're gonna have like a thing here.
You're describing what kind of content will go here.
Exactly, and then hopefully you can work with a copywriter.
Yeah, that's
if you're really
the ideal.
Lucky, and they'll give this like really amazing sort of version of what it can be.
Yeah. I like the idea, not pet friendly. That's a good way to put it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
From Marissa.
I love that. Does pet friendly have a dash? Or is it non-dash? I don't know. I don't like the way the dash looks. That's like a designer moment.
Yeah, just do no dash. That's totally a designer moment.
Totally
I don't like how that copy breaks. Let me change the copy.
Sometimes, every once in a while it gets you. Like here's exactly like there's the like a little
the one orphan
word, but you have to let it go because this is mobile, but there's many different sizes of mobile, so that orphan word may or may not be there.
Yeah, and I think that's hard for a lot of people to understand, especially when you show people design or your clients or teammates.
Totally.
You're like, that's not exactly how it's gonna look because there's a billion screen
There's so
sizes.
many different screens. It's the same thing with like talking about the fold and if it's like
oh my gosh, I can't talk about the fold.
The fold is like a throwback to print design with newspaper fold, where like the stuff that was above it is the most important thing and the thing that people will engage with most. And so there's this theory, which is somewhat true, that like whatever you have at the top is kind of
what your kind of main call to action or main message is.
Yeah, like if you're designing a shopping or an e-commerce app, like it is super important to have the button where you're adding it to cart above the fold.
Right.
Like you want
just
it
very
to be
obvious,
really easy, which is kind of actually why I decided to add the plant up here. Like I didn't want it to get lost. I want it to be really easy to see. There were other explorations where I had it like all the way to the bottom of the content, but I don't want you to have to, if you just want to add this plant, like go ahead and do it.
So when you're adding to plant, is that kind of like to your like plant library?
To your library. This is like a moment where like user testing would be really helpful because you're like, what do you think add plant means? And they're like, I don't know. So you might even need to be more explicit, like to my library. And again, you could also work with a copywriter to like punch that up or something and make it, you can even just say like add to my library.
There's some great icon ideas for not pet friendly.
Yes, exactly. Like we're probably not a sun.
Like a legs up dog or cat. Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Or a dead fish. Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, maybe not so. It's very clear what's happening.
This is also like one thing I like to do when I'm getting feedback from anyone is just make notes for myself and like write.
I love that. Yeah, I do that with red. Like
everyone has like their
red
color, and I'm very drawn to the sort of like weird.
The magenta.
Exactly. Red. All right, dog or cat. Yeah, we got to remind ourselves to add that icon. Well, how are we doing on time?
We've got about 35 minutes until we get into reviewing designs. So yeah, it's a good time to plug that. You know, if you guys are participating in the Daily Creative Challenge, you know, send us links, put it in Discord in the Creative Challenge channel, and we'll be reviewing, going over projects together, giving feedback, getting feedback from the community, and just seeing what you guys are up to. So yeah, if you guys have anything you're working on that you'd like feedback from us on, share that in the channel, and we'll get to that in about half an hour.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what people...
Dude, people are legit.
I know. I've seen the past ones. And
share y'all's talent with us.
I'm just gonna set this to like 50%. That's a cheat. So if you need something to be like a little bit lighter and you don't want to go into the fill,
totally
like this is not great for developers, I will say, but if you're just trying to get your idea out, like hit the 5 on your keyboard and it'll set it to 50% or whatever you need. Like 2 is 20%, 1 is 10, and then 0 is 100.
You're like, I will actually make that a distinct color later.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to say that it's de-emphasized because we're in this, for the plant info card, you're sort of like in the Find tab. So, okay, the reason I didn't resize this is like I kind of want to take a little bit different of an approach. And I'm going to say I definitely need that, I'm going to get rid of this and I'm just maybe...
You kind of want a paradigm like shift for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus just a simple resize, because this is like a profile page, so.
Yeah, and the other thing is like I'm thinking about this in my mind, and I'm like, what is it gonna look like if it's just this huge? Like I feel like having this at the top is not the best use of space on a landscape mode. So I'm just gonna like drag in at least so I have the correct tablet size. Because I can never remember what it is. Oh no. I'm gonna turn off, actually I'm gonna turn this off for a minute so that it doesn't think I'm trying to do something else. And then...
I forgot what you had it at.
I know, I always forget. That's good enough.
Yeah.
That's close. I don't think I need this actually.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, I'm gonna copy this box here. I don't know why it has a blur on it. Oh, that's when I was trying to do something else with it. So this is gonna be, I think on tablet. I'm thinking, what if we did something more like
a sidebar or like,
what if this was the photo of the plant? And then maybe these details, because I wanted them to be like glanceable, so they're not, it's not super robust. There's not a lot of...
I like that it's still a quick view.
Yeah,
when you get to tablet.
Hopefully quick. I mean, the other thing we could explore is just like a card that kind of pops up.
Yeah.
And you can dismiss it or what have you, but I want to try this first. So I'm gonna actually, let's see.
More space doesn't mean you have to add more content or more
You might just,
complexity.
yeah, you might just have to change the layout.
Yep, for sure.
So look at this. I have it under content, so I'm just gonna copy all my content and say, put it over here, start that from now.
Nice, that's looking good.
Right, like that, and it's like not a ton of white space, so you're not feeling like it's, and I also just want to give myself context for this big black area.
Yes.
This will be a photo eventually.
Right, and we can use that same photo, it just fills that space differently.
So this is one version, and what did I have here? Oh, a back. So we want to give people a way. The way they get here is they come from search, and so we want to give them a way to sort of get back to that if they're done. So like, let's copy that over for sure. And I think this is like a decent. It's not.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, what if I don't know that I want it centered actually. So I don't know if there's a shortcut for text alignment, but if there is, like, that is my next level. Like I want to be able to hit a keyboard shortcut to say left align, center align.
Yeah. If anybody knows, share it in the channel.
Because I do it so often, and you're like, I don't like the way that looks, actually.
I liked it centered. I thought it looked nice.
So maybe, okay. This is okay, and now I'm starting to get nitpicky, but like what happens if I'm gonna set this to, can we set this only to responsive? It is on. So what do we have? I don't wanna fix the width, and I do wanna fix it to this side. I'm like, that's 60, so I'm happy with like a 60 pixel margin, because on mobile I have about a 30 pixel margin, so maybe double it for tablet.
Sense, yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's what it's doing. It's taking the text box and expanding it, and it's taking my call to action and expanding it, which I like. So let's see. That's about 60 and 60. I love it.
Nice.
And so that's not too bad actually.
No. And it kind of, remember, we're using placeholder content, and now it
Yeah,
gives you
it
kind
could
of
be
room to
more.
accommodate more or less.
The other thing is, if this were a repeat grid, I would not have to be sitting here
Adjusting
them just as a note. And so maybe what will happen is, I just had an idea. Oh my gosh.
Explore the idea.
What if this is what gets me into trouble. I spent so much time on this one specifically, because it's like a really important screen.
Yes. It's like the profile for our plant pet.
Wait, I think this is a repeat grid. Wait. Why can't I move this? There we go. So what if, I don't know, what if instead of taking up all that space,
I like that.
What if we had these, I don't know, like off to the side more?
Yeah. That makes use of the horizontal space better,
exactly.
too.
And I tried it on mobile and I just couldn't. There was not enough. It made the text like so hard to read. And then I just need this to be center aligned. I'll just do it by eye. Okay. So then I just need to grab these and bring them up here.
Just to clarify too, these are kind of like your high fidelity wireframes, and then you're imagining going back in and adding like color, specific iconography, like fonts and actual images. But we're using kind of icons to help us like get the concept and layouts down and explore quickly without fixating too much on all the pixels and colors, because we could spend hours picking out the perfect colors.
So long. So I'm pretty happy with this, and what I will say is like maybe we'll add like a little plant bio at the bottom too, so like it'll continue to take up the space appropriately maybe. So I'm getting a little lost in my layers right now. What is this? A section. This is when it helps like actually call your layers what they are, because then you gotta like turn them off and on and be like, what is this? So I think these are the three. So these are the three sections, and then I'll just sort of like remind myself that maybe I want to try
additional content.
Yeah, some sort of like additional like plant origins maybe, and then you can kind of go into what those would be. And then I'm gonna hit my command shortcuts.
Do you think are you imagining that this would also be on mobile as well, or just a tablet view sort of thing?
Totally. I think it could still be on mobile. It would just sort of like fall below this.
Maybe
we'll, yeah, exactly, like very below the fold. Maybe we'll have some sort of like squiggly line or something cute to divide the information. But yeah, decent for now. Good
Cool.
for now. This is a moment where I like want a big block of lorem ipsum.
I know. This trips me up every time too. I'm like, oh, nice.
Nice. So just copy your past sentence.
Yep, exactly. It could be repeating.
I know, and then like the OCD in me is like, I should say some note about the plant origins, but no, we know what it is, because there's a big header.
Yep.
So, all right, we got.
It's looking good.
Thank you. Yeah, this was pretty fast so far. This is where I'm starting to get too fixated. Okay, so what do we have? We have the care card. We have the
dashboard sort of
dashboard. I want to rearrange these because it's tripping me up that they're not in the same order as the nav. So I'm gonna reorder these. Perfect. Okay. Oh, I clipped a little
your post-it
inspo down there. What do we got left? This is pretty good so far. Maybe we can do, would you rather do the add a plant screen or the profile? I could go either way.
I think profile would be interesting.
I like it. Yeah, and then you'll get a bunch of really pretty photos too to show in that. So I'm gonna copy this over. By the way, you just hold Option and drag. If you're hovered over the name of the layer, you hold Option, you can just get more and more and more. And the nice thing is that Adobe like labels them for you. So
Yes.
you've got like 1, 2, V1, 2, 3, and then when you see like landing 23, you're like, okay, I
gotta go back in.
I need to stop. But yeah, that's helpful that they name it for you, because in the past, like, it was just the same thing. You're like, which one is this?
Voodoo Val says you can use the Lorem Ipsum plugin or the Wikipedia plugin to add real copy. The Wikipedia plugin's great because it uses...
There's a Wikipedia
Yes,
plugin?
yes.
Oh my gosh.
We could even play with that later.
Yeah. Wait, how easy to, how...
It's easy. We just go...
Wait, no, it's not that. It's not support.
Yeah, you add a... Oh, you do
plus.
have it. Yeah, and then you go and do the Wikipedia one. Yeah,
Wikify,
yeah.
Install. This is really exciting.
I only watch Sam use this. I
can't.
haven't
So I
used it
imagine you have to be
myself.
selected in
Yes.
the text.
And then you put in like what you... Jade plant, maybe?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
There you go!
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm in love. This is
every designer's dream who
oh
hates
my gosh.
Lorem Ipsum.
I love this. Okay, perfect. My life is complete.
Thank you, Voodoo Val,
Yeah,
for
thank
the
you for that
suggestion.
tip. Easier to design in black and white or use the XD plugin. I don't think I've tried the XD plugin Stark. Does that
neither.
sort of like black and whiteify what you're designing? Somebody asked, like, do you find it easier to design in black and white or use this plugin Stark?
I haven't used the plugin, but I usually do all my wireframes grayscale too. Like,
yeah. Another thing, if you are working at a company, like another thing that people try is literally making it blue, so it feels like a blueprint.
Oh, interesting.
And everything is blue, and you're like, okay, this is definitely not a design.
Yeah. Right. I think it's just important to communicate to whoever you're presenting to that this is not supposed to reflect like visual design, the layer of visual design. Some people are confused. They're like, so everything's gonna be black and white? You're like, no, but I understand why you might think that.
I understand why you think that. Yeah, you made a good point in yours. Like, as designers, it's easy for us to visualize like what it could be in the future.
Yes.
But for a lot of people, it's not. They what they see is what they get.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna turn on responsive resize. I want to say that this has got to be a repeat grid. Okay, yeah. So this is a repeat grid. So to remind you all, how is this? Yeah, you can go like this. You can make it more or less.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have that issue with the bottom when we resize it, but we'll just copy it over from the other ones. It'll be fine. Okay, this is actually,
all right.
This is pretty
That's
close. I think the only thing I need to adjust is the settings and say I want the settings to lock there instead of here. This was already working. I love that it knew that these were going to be in the middle. I love that it's starting to drag out these other boxes. So I do remember, because I've done it a few times now.
What are?
I remember the width. Why am I, this is like in my way too.
No, we're notebook people.
This is so funny. All right, get rid of that. Before I work on the bottom, so this is like another example of like way too much. So
this is kind of like an album. Oh, this is like how you can get to some of your plants.
Yeah,
right?
like this is kind of like where, and maybe it changes in the future to be more helpful, but for now it's just like here they all are.
Yeah.
Maybe you could share it with somebody. Like if you have a plant sitter, you could say like, here are the ones you need to water. It could
Here
be
are all their
smart that
names.
way. Their names, or you could just share it with like your friends, and I've got the best plants. So okay, here's an example of like, okay, I want to make these bigger, but then when you go like this, you're like, wait, what? So what you sometimes have to note is when you want to make these bigger, you have to give yourself a little bit of breathing room first. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of room.
Nice. So increasing the spacing.
Exactly. And I'm going to hold, actually I'm going to hold shift so that like it's not just doing whatever it wants.
Yep.
Like when I hold shift, it stays this whatever ratio.
Like preserves the aspect ratio.
Exactly. So I think actually 4 across is what I'm going to go for. And I want to have those, remember we had the 60 pixel margins over here roughly?
Yes.
I want to try to keep, well, it changed when I like messed with the things, but I'll go back. And what I want to do is try to keep the 60 pixel margins again. So if you hit, what is it, option? Why is it saying 138? Well, here's another way. So like X over here, the coordinates, you can just hit 60 and you'll know
that's how far it is from the edge.
60 pixels away from the edge. So what I want to do is go in here and sort of rein this back in. And this is where like math could also be helpful, which you can do. So let me see. What is this? This is 11112. And then I don't even have to do math. I can go in here. I do this a lot, actually. Oh my gosh, it's saying animals. 1112, okay. And then I'm gonna do minus 60 minus 60, or you can do 120.
Or so account for the borders.
To account for the
margins,
borders.
yeah.
And now what you have is like a full, this is the full width. And then once you have that, I usually hit enter so there's not too much math in there at once. And then I say, what did we say? We wanted to have maybe like four of them.
Yeah.
So divided by 4. And then, I know you can't see it yet, but then I want to give each of them, let's say like a 30 pixel margin. So you have half that. So I say minus 15.
On either side is what you're imagining, right?
On either side. So if you do 15, that'll relate to 30. And then I just didn't give myself enough room, but all I have to do is say like, drag this out and then say 30. And then somehow my math still didn't work out, but that's okay. It's pretty close. I thought for sure then it would still be 60 pixels on each side. Joey, why didn't my math work?
My math is not good.
My math never works. What did we do? All right, that's fine. So I'll actually just make this a little bit smaller.
I'm trying to think of the math. Okay,
I know,
now, 15,
like I thought
15,
if you had the whole thing, you divide it by 4.
Maybe
It's fine. Like
this is why we're doing
a solo version of me would really figure it out, but this is close enough. And then we'll just center it. Cool. So see what it looks like with this down there, because I'm not really liking how spacey this feels right now. For some reason.
I mean, that's something to keep in mind too. Is like we're seeing black boxes, but then often photos are more complex. There's more layers and textures. So did you figure out our math?
Well, I realized that the screen height was. I was like, this looks really like cinematic. I'll just drag this down a little bit, give it a little more breathing room. And then, so here's another thing. You see how you cannot see the bottom of any other photos here?
Yes.
But like what I want to portray is that there are more below. So you always, always, always want to make sure that, I know it's like not, the screens are different sizes and you won't always be able to, but like you should think about as best you can.
Right, just cluing the user into what else they can engage with, or
totally, like just giving them an idea that like there's something else down there.
Alexandra says they're glad that they're not the only person who has math problems.
Oh my gosh, no, you're not alone. You are definitely not alone. Okay, so cool. This is, and then I just have to adjust this. You know, and this would have been a time saver for me too if I had kept these all black from the start. And then I just like, okay, 50, and then where did that little icon go? Plant, 50. Okay, cool. Oh. I was like, where did the mobile version go? I just like...
We just met.
Totally.
Yeah, we just changed it.
Completely transformed it. It's gone forever. All right, cool. And like maybe when I get into visual design, 4 might be a little too much. Like how often are people really gonna, how many plants is this? Like 4 times, this is a lot already. Like maybe you will keep it to like a 3 column.
Right, so it doesn't look too empty if people just have like 3 or 5 plants or something.
Exactly, and I wonder if it could like responsively change or something depending on how many they have. But anyway, good start.
I like that idea.
Right, like if you just have 2.
Like if less than 5, like.
Exactly.
Make it a 2-column grid.
Oh my gosh, so now I feel like, how are we doing on time?
We've got 15 minutes until reviewing projects. So yeah, if you guys have anything you want to share from the creative challenge, from this week, from today's, make sure you drop it into Discord, and we'll review that together in 15 minutes.
Yes. All right, so now remember how I said I was going to come back to this? Like, I think this is a good moment to quickly come back to it. And the other thing is, like, I like to try to, I haven't been great about it since we're doing it live, but I like to try to keep as much, use the same sizes on other screens.
Yes.
So like, for example, this is not a super thoughtful size right now, but like if I decided that like big photos or sort of in general would be about 219, let's say. What did I make them here out of curiosity? 195. So we're kind of centering around like roughly like 200, 250. Like we can go back and make these all the same.
Yep.
But actually, since this is a very similar look, I'm gonna go in. Maybe I'm just gonna copy. What would happen if I just copy? Why is there so much extra space? Maybe I'm just gonna copy. No, I'm not gonna do that. Sorry, I was like, maybe I'll just, and then I realized there's all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's a whole card there.
So I'm gonna make I'm gonna give myself a little bit of breathing room. Oh, this is where we run into.
Oh, did you have it as a three peak grid? Yeah.
3-peak grid, exactly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ungroup it.
Yep.
I'm gonna delete these extra groups that it made for me.
Nice. Just do it with one.
I'm gonna just do it with one.
Yep.
And I'm gonna repeat grid it. I don't even remember why I ungridded it in the first place, but sometimes you do have to do that.
Choices we make at throughout parts of the night or day. I don't know.
There are so many choices. Like it really, like as a designer, like there's hundreds that you're making. You don't even really realize it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, breathing room, yay! And then
you're gonna make it bigger.
I'm gonna make it bigger, and I'm gonna bring these down. And see, they disappeared.
Nice.
All you have to do is, it's because it thinks that the bounding box, you gotta give that. Oh, what? They did disappear forever.
Yeah,
why did they disappear forever? Where'd they go?
Are they in the badge? Or is it like at a fixed height?
I'm not sure. This is a good question. This is a conundrum. I don't feel like I've had this problem before. Plant. You know what I'm gonna do? We're not ready yet. We're not ready for the you kind of have to be a little bit ready for the repeat grid. So that was a little bit presumptuous of me to start the grid before I was actually like ready to say let's repeat it. I got too excited.
It's okay. We're doing this together. You know, this is like real behind the scenes. So what happened?
You're like, what? And then troubleshoot. You know, honestly, I feel like troubleshooting is kind of fun. You're like, again, like a little bit of an investigator.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go. I would like to make all of these the same in the future, but
Julia asked, can I get access to the design research process document? Like that template maybe you had?
Totally, yeah. I would love nothing more than to share like the sort of the double diamond approach.
I think maybe we can like I don't know. We'll have to ask the team, but like link tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
Erin will be back with us tomorrow. What are we gonna be working on tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're gonna take these like really exciting black and white wireframes, which I appreciate that we've all gone through this process, and then we're gonna add emotion to them. We're gonna add visual design. We're gonna throw in some photos. We're gonna see how we can make it
come to life.
Come to life, exactly. So, okay, now we are more legitimately ready for the repeat grid because this is actually the thing I want to repeat.
Nice.
And this is so satisfying.
It is.
You're like,
so quick.
It's done. Like it's so satisfying. And then, you know, you can go in here and say, like, if you want, you can say other names.
Add more.
You could, which is great, because, like, even, for example, when I move this around, like, the updated names, Fiddly Fig stays in place, but the position moves where it needs to go, which is, like, super helpful when you're exploring different layouts. So now that I have my sort of, what would I call this? Row section.
Like a row component or something like that.
Exactly, like a row component. Oh wow, we're like really running into some stuff. What is this?
It's always fun to discover what's on your artboard.
I know, you're like, where did that come from? It's like old. All right, let's throw that down there. Yeah, so actually I'm gonna say, like, I still don't like that you're only seeing 2 right here. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like I kind of want to get to the categories, but
the collections, you mean?
It's fine.
Yeah.
We can. That's always something you could user test and say, like, what's more useful to you? Like these sort of expanded out versions where you can see the plants or like the categories. That's something you could play with.
And you can also see like if you were releasing this as a real product, just see where people are tapping more and like see how people actually use the product to then make more changes or edits to your app design. Like, I think, you know, you're seeing one version where we're doing this, but there's always, I feel like as designers, we're always working on like iterations and learning and applying. It's never done. Our jobs are never done.
It's true. I mean, it is kind of like, It is satisfying seeing how people use the thing you've made and then being like, oh, I could solve it even better. Like, look, look where they're struggling with that. So it is never done, and I think that's okay. So what am I trying to do here? What I think I'm trying to do is that, like, again, on mobile, I wanted them to be able to see like 2 at a time. And on tablet, I still want that to happen.
Ooh, that's looking good, yeah.
But maybe, like 4 still feels like a lot to me. Like maybe there's like 2 each or something. This is where you got
I like the 3 across too.
You know, oh, that's true. 3 is nice.
Yeah.
Like the odd numbers are always really satisfying.
And it's kind of a nice contrast with your grid above. I mean, you have a totally different aspect ratio, but it feels nice, kind of a change of rhythm.
Totally. And then again, like we ran into, so these margins are like really, they feel really tight. So I'm actually gonna go, I hope everything's selected. Let's see what happens. Mostly. So this was the only one that wasn't. Move it over. So we got 60. Put this at 60. And then, nice. 49, close. I wish there was like the opposite 59. That's pretty good. And then these will just scroll off to the end, so that's fine.
Yep.
I'm gonna give it a little bit more breathing room, I think. Cool. So I actually really like this. I'm gonna say this is like a lot. I would kind of want to keep them similar.
Similar
so
margin
I think
padding,
it was like around 30-ish. Don't quote me on that. It's probably like not at all. 20. Let's give it. This is like, you can get OCD so quickly.
Yep.
But that's fine because that is kind of what the details are what make it.
Yeah, at some point you put in this level of detail work, right? Whether you do it in your wireframes or both, or in your high fidelity visual designs.
So now, what is happening? Why is that green box so...
Is there like a hidden layer, maybe?
Easy for beginners. Where's the... I don't think so. Sometimes you gotta... What happens if I go like... It's weird that it's... Because it's like, oh, here's what it is. For some reason, it's when I gave myself a lot of space, I think. So sometimes when you're like, where's the rest? You just gotta keep dragging the grid. And then we'll just do the same margins for this. We'll say 30. And those will all sort of be different collections. Cool. Like that. And what did I do with the nav? Where did it go? Layers. I don't think I had the nav on this one. It's like gone. Oh, there's it, that nav bar.
There you go.
Great. Nav bar is back. All right, cool. That feels a lot better than it did before. And we have 7 minutes, so I bet we could probably also get this add a plant screen in.
Yep. That's a pretty simple one, right?
Super simple. And I think, honestly, I don't even think it needs to be its own thing on tablet. Like, I feel like it could just be...
Like a little...
A card.
Pop-up or, yeah.
Because it's not like a moment... I don't think it's a moment where you're like... I mean, I know when you're doing a task, like filling out a form, you do kind of want to keep people really focused. But I want to try and see what this... what it would look like with just sort of like a pop-up card, maybe. So,
when they click add plant.
Yeah, when they click add to my library, what happens? So the first thing I would do to this is I would kind of like grab this hold on, get rid of that. Grab everything, group it, and call it like background.
Yep.
And then I'd probably drag out like a full size,
like overlay sort of situation?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So like the edge, and then again, if you just hit the eye, you'll get that eyedropper, get rid of the border, and then if you hit like 5, it'll go to 50. And then I'm gonna take, this is it. What happens if I go, I'm just curious. Can I like put this in? No.
Oh, I see what you mean. I just
like can it just like be in there?
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna give this a background just so I remember like where the bounding box is. Because right now it's like on an artboard and the artboard is the background, but I need to give it its own sort of card. I'm gonna group this and call it card. Copy it, paste it into here. Oops. I don't love that it literally just looks like a mobile screen.
Yeah.
Like,
but this is just one step of exploring the idea.
Totally. And so maybe like it might feel a little bit better if you make it a little bit wider.
Yeah,
that
that's
might
looking
feel
good.
a little more appropriate.
Yeah.
And give this like, I'm gonna go 10. Why not go crazy?
Yeah.
Wait, what did I do for this? These are
yeah,
like
yeah,
really
yeah.
extreme. 30. What happens if it's 30?
Changing the corner border radius.
Yeah,
corner
sometimes
radius?
it can like make it feel a little bit more interesting. Like it
Yeah.
also even could maybe like be coming down from the bottom.
Right, like.
Here's the other cool thing with border radius. Like you can just edit one. So if you click the little circle and hit option, you can like change it. So I'm gonna have these ones. Like, what if it came from the bottom?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really like that either. So I'm just gonna go back.
I liked it more. Yeah, I liked it more like that.
And I don't like. Is this? Yeah, it is. So yeah, these are all the little edits that you're like, do I need this? Do I need that? And just play with it. So that's pretty decent. I actually might say, maybe even on mobile too, I might play with this being centered. Oh, but then you kind of like don't really have an anchor over here. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I like it centered too.
Okay. Centered. Sweet. Cool. So we got the add the plant. You're telling it like what you want to name it. So you might say like aloe living room, for example. And you might like, you could change how many, like maybe you live in I don't know, like an area that you don't like the suggestion of every 2 weeks. And so you can again like make it personal.
Like I live in a very humid area, or maybe someone else waters it one other day.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh my gosh, like we've already in this time basically like for the key screens, we have a really good starting point to like begin to apply visuals to this.
So what are you kind of thinking tomorrow we'll dive into now that, or like what would be your normal process? You know, you have this in place.
Oof, normal process. I mean, honestly, like normal process would be, of course, like talking to people, seeing how they react to it. And let's just go ahead and assume everyone's like, I love it, I want it, it's perfect, it's so easy. Best case scenario. So tomorrow what I want to do, I'll give you a little preview. Like I started to pull in some examples of things that I like. And I like to sort of start off with non-related inspo if I can.
Just kind of more on like the high level emotional, like.
Exactly. And the other thing that I'll note is like, and I have it down here too, but when you start to look at related, like really closely related stuff, you can kind of freak yourself out and be like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Like mine will never be that good or whatever. And like, whatever, you don't know. And they had no constraints also. So like, keep related and non-related inspo, I'd say, and try to look at the non-related more because then maybe you're going to come up with a more creative solution because you're inspired by different stuff.
What are you kind of like going for? I mean, maybe you'll touch more on this tomorrow. But.
I think it'd be really cool to explore. Here's the thing. I would love to have these like individual awesome illustrations, maybe for like
the onboarding screens.
The onboarding screens, or like areas where it's like easy for beginners and maybe there's like a cool illustration for that. But the reality is like for this, I don't have access to that. We could look at Adobe stock and maybe there will be some good ones. But I think that one might be the tougher thing. So we'll try
Thinking about what you've got to work with is always a good place to start.
What do you have? What are your constraints? So like, for example, if you couldn't come up with something like that, you could do something like this where you just sort of use different colors to differentiate like categories or little like, I think this has like little textures, icons.
Like I like that.
Totally. Like I love these little icons are super
so cute. So this is what you're feeling. And where do you kind of pull inspiration, or where do you like to pull inspiration?
Let's see. So Dribbble, of course, is like a good first stop. But what you have to keep in mind about Dribbble, again, is that they're designing with, it's off, sometimes, not often, sometimes it's not a system. So sometimes it's just like perfect world where, you know, like you have this cutout plant. Let me see an example. So like this. this is so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
There's this cutout plan. It's like breaking the grid. But
reality check.
Yeah, and it's really pretty. But the reality is that if you're working in a system and you're relying, especially if you're relying on like user data, you're not going to get like cutout perfection. So it's a nice inspo, but like might be hard to replicate in reality. So just note that with Dribbble, but you can still find some really good stuff like this. I think this came from Dribbble, and like this is a really cool pattern that can kind of bring some emotion to a screen that would otherwise feel like maybe less.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, I don't know, let's
Excited
explore
to dive
like,
into that tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and now we're at design feedback.
Yes. So
Let's
now
do it.
we're gonna switch things around. Oh, it's my screen. Thank God I have this up. So this is us on Discord, where we have y'all tuning in and sharing designs with us. So I think Erin and I will go through some of these. So this is from this week's creative challenge. I think there's a couple from challenge 5 and challenge 6. I'm sorry, I just have to note beforehand, my mic is broken, so I don't know if we'll be able to do the voice trigger ones. I know it's a bad day for my mic to be broken. But we'll go through some of these, and then, we'll kind of dig through them. So let's see, let's start with a recent one, since JG877 Cash Now, you might be on, so we can take a look at this. This looks like it's an older challenge, so let me open it up. Linked on Behance, which is great. Looks like, this is from Justin. Justin, I saw you on the chat, so there you are. Click to launch an interactive prototype. Oh my goodness, I never know what I'm gonna get. I know, I was telling Erin, it's like so impressive watching everyone's like mock-ups and prototypes. Oh, so it looks like this is an app for discovering books, perhaps?
I think so. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
Recommended. It's trending books and magazines. Maybe something I think looking at this that we could explore further would be like the contrast of the type.
Totally.
What do you think?
Yeah, and there's a really great tool, and I feel like it might even be a plugin for XD where you can check your contrast ratios and make sure that it's like accessible and legible to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's tough often with like any sort of yellow or orange. The type has to be like either super big or super bold. But yeah, you could change the color and it would be like very legible. I love how visual this is.
Yeah. And you're really putting I think we immediately understood like these were book covers and like
Totally.
I assume clicking into one. I don't know if I can click into it.
Oh, and it says continue reading, so it's almost like this is like your library of.
Oh, like your Netflix currently watching sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, we can name a book, search.
Name.
And then maybe this is the results that shows up. Let me see if I feel like I got all the hot spots. But yeah, I think taking a look at it, or maybe even also exploring, I would explore like the typeface here is like the same as the typeface here.
It almost looks like it might be a little bit bigger too, so you'd wonder, I would consider what happens if you flip that sort of hierarchy, where search is something that you don't do all the time, but the thing that you're scrolling through and the labels you're reading might need to be more present.
More prominent. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing this.
Let me see if there was anything else on. I just got distracted by the click here for prototypes.
Oh yeah, maybe there were more prototypes.
Oh. Whoa.
Oh.
See, I don't know where.
Wait, is this like a video demo?
Let's see. Oh yeah, it is a video demo. I see.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
wow,
that's
the
really
animations
nice
are rad.
animations.
Let's see.
That can really
Click
bring
here,
a product to
search.
life, like
Oh,
changing
for
the way
sure.
things animated.
All right. Cool. Let me see what else we've got. I think there's a couple of other projects on the queue. Let me see if there's anything else. So yeah, that was really cool looking at. Oh, there we go. Okay, I missed this. Yeah, I don't know why I missed this. So yeah, I think taking a look at maybe creating a more obvious hierarchy with the type. Like I'm seeing that you have 35, 22, 20, 20, 17, which there's only 5 pixels difference between these 5 levels of hierarchy. So like I personally like to, I guess it always depends, but just creating more contrast between these. And I think especially if it's smaller, it gets a little tough to read in that light text that we talked about.
Totally.
But I love that you're keeping a very simple color palette. I think sometimes it's very tempting to go all over the place. I should have really read this before we clicked into the prototype. So now we know.
Now we know. This is like it's like a prototype for us.
Yeah, Justin, thanks for letting us know the video works better. I'm sorry I butchered your presentation. All right, let's see what else we've got. I know, I want to click into these ones, but I don't know if I'll be able to do
Are they the voice ones?
Yeah, these are the voice ones, which I'm really sorry about. Maybe we can, I don't know, I was going to say. Okay, let's see. This one is from, is there a link to this one? I don't see a link. So yeah, if you guys have projects on here, it's great to kind of get links to the project so that we can, if you guys have a project link on Behance so that we can kind of review together. Okay, here's a day 5 one. Let's check it out. I think day 5 was responsive resize. So let's see. Oh, I think, so this looks like, let's see, what was day 5? Let me pull up the day 5 one.
Daily.
Yeah, responsive resize. So this is a class scheduling assistant that can be viewed both on mobile and web. So yeah, I see. Okay, it says, welcome to Green Life, schedule your life. Maybe this is like a calendar. So maybe this is showing us some of the UI components first. I see. So this is like the desktop view versus the mobile view. I think it'd be helpful to have some sort of like navigation or like
in the product itself.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Just so we understand like what page we're on or some titles. I think that could be good. Just seeing little things like the edges not lining up, but I'm not sure what level of fidelity this is at. I'm not also sure what star day is it was like start the day. So it looks like they're scheduling tasks from time to time, and perhaps there's like reminders. But yeah, I think it'd be helpful to have a little bit more
wayfinding.
Yeah, just a little bit more context or what you want the user to do. Oh, let me see. You have a video for the voice one. Okay, let me try to play one of those too.
Nice.
But yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing that with us. Let's see. Okay, who had the video? Let me know if maybe this is the video one. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys.
Whoa.
Let's see if I can play one of these videos with the voice commands so you guys can hear it. Oh, is there a voice playing?
Oh my gosh, this is so cute though.
Man, last time we were able to do the voice demos, and it's so cool. Like you can literally say like penguin, and it
pops up.
We
can do like charades or something and say like, what do we think the voice is saying?
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys. Oh, so okay, great. Looking at it again, looks like you can choose a language. Oh, it's just super cool.
Yeah, I love the iconography.
So cute.
It's really playful
and engaging. Sorry, guys, my defunct computer. Cool. Let me try to get out of this video. All right, let's see what else there is. Here's another day 5 creative challenge for responsive resize. Okay, we can try to enable the audio. I'll go back to that video in a second. Sorry guys, I'm technically inept here. Should we try this again?
Yeah.
This is Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Pro capture?
Actually, I don't think it'll work. I don't know.
Yeah, we got it to work last time, but it was a little tricky last time too. But voice triggers are so rad. I was like baffled when I watched them last time. Okay, now this is from Julia. I think I saw Julia in the chat earlier. Oh yeah, there you are. There you are. I see your pink icon here too. Let's take a look at her day 5 challenge, which is the responsive resize. So this is design and exercise class scheduling assistant that can be viewed on both mobile and web.
And can I also say, like, having that right there is a really nice intro. And it's just like, this is what the purpose of the thing is that I'm about to show you. It's really helpful context.
Puts us right in, like, we know what we're looking at. So cool. So it looks like we've got dance classes. So great. And seeing how this, like, resizes from between these grids. Ooh, nice. There's some instructors. They've got some attitude.
I love that.
Showing some of these, how empty they are or how many spaces there are available.
Also, I love that you're showing a diverse range of people too. You've got men, women, people of different like ethnicity. That's really nice to see.
For sure. Let's see, there might be more of see the navigation, how that changes through the different screen sizes. I think there's more. I'm just learning how to use Behance.
Scroll.
Oh, here we go. I love the video demos.
The videos are so great.
So she'll kind of show us how was it, guys? We're using responsive resize. Did you think it was pretty intuitive, easy to use? Did it save you guys a ton of time? Oh, I love the icon for the menu, like how you've animated that. That's really cool.
I might be wrong about this. I think it would be really... Does Behance support GIFs?
I think so, yeah.
I feel like it does. So one thing that could be interesting to try is have the animated version, see if you can record it on your laptop, like record it as you've animated it, turn it into a GIF, and then have that just play, maybe.
Right, just like show as one of the...
Yeah, totally. And it could just be like micro interactions and just highlighting one thing, but there is something nice about not having to click play sometimes. Just a possibility I would explore.
For sure. I think for like longer prototypes this makes sense, but for showing, like you said, like
like a case study or something.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And I think in terms of, design feedback, what do we think here?
Again, with the thing that's tough is the yellow / like orange tangerine background with white text. I bet a lot of people would have trouble reading that.
For sure.
So even if, again, like the tool, I'll have to look it up and show it next time, but the tool
like the accessibility checker.
Yeah, the accessibility checker is super important, especially when you're making something that like lots of people are going to use.
For sure. I think it's becoming also even more like, I feel like web design and app design, there's been a lot more focus on that recently and just making sure products are accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah, because it would kind of be like the same as saying like this building doesn't have a wheelchair ramp or like doesn't have a bathroom that's handicap accessible. So you really, like same thing for design. People need to be able to read it, all that good stuff.
Cool. And yeah, I think, I know this is just, a work in progress, but like I always expect to see like some sort of like logo or like title or something here. So when I see it blank, I'm like, it feels like something is missing. So if you want to just polish that up for this presentation that you have on Behance, like you've done already so much of the work, that might be an area for improvement. But I'm always impressed by what people can do in like one day with these challenges. You guys are amazing. And much better with animations than I. Let's see, here's one from Max from earlier today. They said it was a tough one. Let's see, Max. Let me open up your project. This looks like another responsive resize. Yep, they were talking about accessibility yesterday for sure. And I personally, I'm also really bad with that because I'm such like a subtle color person.
I love pastels.
Yeah, I just fixate so much on color that like when I run it through the accessibility checker and it doesn't work, I'm like, no. But I'm personally trying to make more of that effort too. So yeah, let's dive into Max's one. This is, wow, I love these graphics you guys create too. Like,
oh my gosh.
Really a lot of high level effort here. About the challenge, designing an exercise class scheduling assistant that is going to be responsive. Ooh, a mood board. Fun.
So we've got like inspirational photos and sort of like
a palette going.
The type of mood you're going for. This is very sporty palette.
Yeah, sporty, bright, like, all right, it's called New Me Fitness Court. Looks like, maybe each of these are the, these are classes, I see, with the, what do you call them? Instructor.
The instructor, the room that like you're giving people the location it's in. Interesting. I wonder, what does room what does room mean to the user?
Right.
So like, is this an app, I would say, is this only to support one specific gym? And then like room 4 is like, oh, okay, I know what room that's in.
Right.
If you're trying to design it for lots of gyms, I wonder if there's some other piece of information. Maybe it would be like the gym location.
Right. And one thing I could also think too, I think it looks like to me the main piece of information might be the class name. So it confused me for a second seeing the instructor's name, like instructor as the visual, as the primary visual. So maybe at like this level, like we show like a picture of the class, because if that's the decision they're making.
True.
Or maybe there is no picture and there's more emphasis on the type. Since I think it seems like we're supposed to choose a class, which I understand is taught by a specific instructor. But I think if I was the user, I'd probably want to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Pilates.
That's a good point. I like that. And it could even be an icon too. Maybe.
Right, an icon,
although
which
those
makes
are
it simple.
hard,
Well, it makes it simpler in that you don't need photos of
yes.
everybody. Great, so it looks like you can decide or see what are open or what have been filled, kind of like airplanes, reserving a spot. Right, we can look at, oh, here's the interactive prototype. I love these interactive prototypes.
I know.
Let's see. Oh God, I love the animations people have. Yep, there's full, so maybe even like a full state is more like, I don't know, like visually differentiated.
Oh, yeah. Like you'd almost want it to be like red or something to show that it's sold out.
They click, ooh, I love that transition you had. You can click to reserve a spot, nice. Wow, oh, great, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I like that it's giving you like a success message. It's telling you that you've done it.
Yeah. And
You could even explore, I wonder if there could be like a toast or something.
Yeah, like, oh great, you've been signed up, just so in case people miss that. Oh, interesting, so you can cancel your reservation like that. I would like to see some sort of more clear action, I don't know.
That seems a little bit hard to discover. You maybe discover it by accident.
Yeah, I would assume, like, I don't know, this might just like take me back to like a detailed view or I don't know. So yeah, maybe there's some clearer way to cancel. I think tiny like visual design feedback I could see is like maybe this feels a little close in terms of, or tight in terms of like white space or close to the edge. So I think, just thinking about like how much white space there is in a card or how things are spaced out. And yeah, that's, I think, something that could be improved upon. But I love the color palette, really fun and clean, and yeah, good contrast levels here.
Yeah, totally.
We're all about that contrast today. Let's take like another one. Let's see. I know, I'm gonna try to solve this like voice command thing, because I'm just gonna click into one. This is Jack Blackbird. Oh, here we go. Let's see if there's anything. This is Jack Watson, not Jack Blackbird. That is your username.
Vietnamese.
Pho, short for phonetics, as well as Vietnamese too. Oh, fun.
Very cool.
I love how striking the visuals are, like right away.
Right away, yeah.
Feels like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm intrigued, and it feels fresh and fun. Oh, cool. So it looks like you have like how many frogs? And you're supposed to know the number in Vietnamese. And based on the voice trigger, it would tell you whether it was right or not.
That's awesome.
Blows my mind.
Also, hat tip to scroll up a little bit. I think you're showing, is this like an example of how far you've gone in the level at the top? Like it's nice to show people how much further they have to go or what kind of progress they've made. That's a really nice touch.
Yep, for sure. I love the color palette. I love the illustrations.
Yeah, these frogs are incredible.
Super fun. Yeah, let's see. We can't get my thing to work, but very cool.
Oh, interesting.
We will go like full out for these project demos.
I love it.
It's looking great. All right, I think let me look at for latest posts since you guys are here. All right. So let's look at C Block. Let's see what your real name is. Cornelian. Yes, I see you in the chat. So let's go. So this is, let's see what, is this from a day, let's see, did you tell us what day it was from? Not sure. Let me see. All right. So, well, we'll just dig in and see what we can find out. So it looks, oh, it's a training assistant app. All right, cool. Get ripped. Oh, yeah. Do you even lift, bro?
We've got a couple of like sport-related ones.
Yeah.
Today.
So again, yes, a voice trigger. Oh my gosh, I feel really bad about this voice trigger thing. Let's see, let me play this video. So, okay, you can hold down space bar. All right, it looks like, so this is fun that you've kind of combined some of the past, like the scheduling app now with the voice trigger. Enroll.
Also really popping visuals
too. Really nice. And it feels like sporty.
Yeah.
And,
you feel like you want to like start running right now or like, I feel like I want to buy a new pair of shoes.
Oh, interesting. I'm curious as to what made you kind of decide to have a voice confirmation, like versus, I don't know, a button tap or, I mean, I think it's cool.
Oh, is that what it was?
You say like confirm, it looks like. Oh, this is nice. So you built in a responsive version as well. So you're really putting all the challenges together.
I wonder, I would push on like what are some other ideas you could come up with for ways to incorporate the voice command. What do we like typically like voice commands or
I could even see like a search function for voice. Like I've seen that become more popular these days. Like let's say I'm searching for a class. Like maybe I don't want to go through all of these. Just being like, oh, CrossFit or like yoga or whatever.
Like show me yoga classes. Something like a personal assistant.
Right. Because I think in the I like what you're doing in terms of exploring this functionality, but in terms of like. I think it could be just as easy for someone to click a button versus say confirm for confirming a class. So maybe there's a way to incorporate that more just to help like solve a user's need, right?
Totally.
Through voice commands. Oh yeah, I want to click through the interactive prototype. Let's see. Get ripped. Yeah, it's super cool what you guys do. Choosing a seat. Cool. Nice. Seat 3 reserved.
Yeah, let's see where you're going.
Yeah. Cool. And if I had my mic, then we could say confirm. But yeah, I think it'd be. I love how you've just really brought all of the different challenges together from this week into this this whole project.
Totally.
Now, let's see. I think I see a specific request. Let's see. From Santaj, the third newest one. So that's first, second, third. Oh, here we go. So here we go. Language learning app. So this is another voice command one. Let's learn Hindi. It's a UI design concept for the Hindi language learning app that uses voice recognition technology to provide a fun and immersive learning experience to beginners to the language. Awesome. So it looks like, here, let's look at. Oh, I love that you've like I don't know how you feel, Erin, but I love when designers just like give us a little bit more context or thought behind why they chose certain typefaces.
Totally.
And it looks like they want it to be playful but accessible, and also choose multilingual, have multilingual considerations. So that's awesome. That I didn't know Poppins had a Devanagari. I don't know about that language version for that. Which is great to check. I know I often work on things where like, we have Spanish and French, so just making sure all the accents are covered, but this is a whole nother level.
Yeah, that's like, that's another even level of accessibility in a way.
Yes, for sure. So it looks like we've got some button styles, icon styles. I think just one thing I noticed right off the bat with the icon styles, this is my personal preference, is like, I want to make sure that the icons always have the same, what do you call that?
Line weight.
Mm-hmm. So right now the burger feels super heavy, and this one, more medium weight. So just when we choose fonts, like each letter should kind of like look like the next one.
Totally.
So you have a specific style for the app. So when choosing icons, I know it's hard when you're kind of, I'm not an illustrator, so I can never make my own icons. But just trying to pull a set or get a set created that all feels consistent. Let's see now. Oh, I can hear the voice. I think. It's quiet for now. test your knowledge.
Whoa.
Oh, can you guys hear that? It's the loudest I can make
gosh.
it. Yes, and if you have, that's
Nice.
awesome. I love how you made that. You can actually, like, I love that.
It's so
I love that.
amazing.
Yeah, just being able to prototype things to this whole like next level is like mind blowing to me because I'm just like still in the world where like clicking buttons and prototyping is like a good advanced thing. The voice triggers are
Oh my
amazing.
gosh, I'm gonna date myself, but like I used to have to use like layer comps in Photoshop and like,
for
click things
sure.
off and on and.
You're like, imagine now when
Yeah.
I click this.
like have a little like cursor icon.
It goes into here. And let's take, I think we have time for one more. So it looks like another voice challenge one, but Mutter, I like that name for an app. Let's see. So it looks like you can learn, maybe it's about using a translation.
But it seems kind of sporty. For some reason, I thought it was like another.
Like an adventure app or something like that.
There's a calendar involved, so yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely some sort of planning.
Or maybe the calendar is for like the work you've done.
What are the
per-
bars? Words.
It says words and phrases, cultural awareness, and rapid response.
Oh.
Maybe there are like various skills you have for that you're practicing. But yeah, let's take a look at the demo. You log in. Great. God, you guys really flesh these out.
Ooh.
Wow. Hello, Teresa. So this is like your profile, maybe your skill set. I think it'd be interesting to see, I think there's like a lot going on. So maybe as like a first-time user, there would be more like onboarding involved, or some sort of, more guided use of the app.
Like what can you do with it? How are you tracking your stats?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I see. You have various languages that this can be in. Your micro interactions are really beautiful and well done. I see some speaking. Yeah, I think overall it'd be cool to just have a little bit more obvious, I think, things to interact with, just to help guide the user into what I'm supposed to do. Because I think it could be a little bit overwhelming seeing a lot of things, a lot of options at once. And maybe this is we're seeing in like a version of the app or a screen where this is a more advanced user.
They've been here for a while.
Yeah, that know what's going on.
But yeah, to your point, I think exploring like this, the hardest thing is to simplify. Like, what's the phrase? I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have enough time.
Yep.
It takes a lot of time to simplify things down to the core. And then you can always build up from there when you're talking to people. Like, what if you had this thing? And you can add that.
Yep. But yeah, I think we're out of time, and we'll meet you back here tomorrow.
Thank you.